want to stay healthy. But staying healthy takes work, partly because of a process called oxidation. Now, oxidation is a normal chemical reaction that occurs when free radicals form within the cells. What does that even mean? Here's the science answer. Each oxygen atom contains 2 electrons that cling together. When heat or light breaks them apart, the electrons are separated, leaving unpaired oxygen radicals. These oxygen barbarians, radicals, are free to roam around and initiate a process of breaking down normal cell structures, causing damage. The more free radicals present, the more damage occurs. Still not getting it? Have you ever cut up apples for a snack? You slice them and lay them on a tray, and they look nice and fresh. You go into another room for 15 minutes, and when you come back, something awful has happened. The apples are brown.
Ew.
This is oxidation. These radicals break down the apple or oxidize it, and the apple begins to rot. Can you imagine the cells in your body starting to rot? That's what oxidation does in your body. When the protective outer peel antioxidants are removed, the damage from oxidation is allowed to occur unimpeded. Likewise, our bodies have many sophisticated defenses against oxidation. But when these defenses break down, oxidation occurs. One of the most common causes of the loss of protective antioxidants is chronic trauma from things like poor diet, alcohol, drugs, and believe it or not, electromagnetic frequency waves from excessive use of cell phones. Chronic damage causes chronic inflammation and pain. If unchecked, over time, these oxygen radicals can break down normal tissue and promote things like heart disease, strokes, and even cancer. So how do you prevent oxidation? You don't want to miss this. So keep watching, because I will show you how to start with something as simple as taking vitamin, mineral, and plant compound antioxidants to stop the oxidation in your body. That's right, stop the oxidation, stop the pain. So let's talk about a thing called oxidation. Oxidation, that's kind of a funny word. You've heard it, but you really probably can't think of what it means. So let's talk about it. How many people have ever had a car and they've left it out in the sun for a period of time? What happens to the paint? It starts to fade. Is that a good change or a bad change? That's a bad change, right? Why? Because the paint is breaking down. That's called oxidation. How many people have ever cut up an apple on the counter? Cut that apple up, you leave it up, nice slices. You go away and you do something else for about 30 minutes. You come back in, what's happened to the apple? It's turned brown. Is that a good change or is that a bad change? No, that's a bad change. That means it's breaking down, it's degenerating. That's called oxidation. All right, gentlemen. So how many of you have ever had a piece of metal and you've left it outside? And after it's been outside for a period of time, it starts to rust. You know what you call rust? Oxidation. Now, oxidation is not a good change. It destroys things. If it stays in your body unchecked or unchallenged, you'll rust out. It'll cause damage to the body. Does that understand? So it's breaking down cells. Watch, we name disease by where the cells are degenerate. If we have cell damage and it's extreme in the liver, what do we call it? Liver disease. If we have cell damage in the heart, heart disease. Wherever you want to put cell damage is how we name the disease. So oxidation breaks down cells and causes degeneration. So in other words, oxidation causes disease. And it has to do with almost every degenerative process in the body. So do you want to continue to have oxidation in your body? Do you think that would be a good thing? No, it wouldn't be a good thing. So what do? Well, how many people remember grandma or mom, after they cut their apples up, they were smart. They would take some vitamin C powder and they would sprinkle it around those apples. Remember that? That fruit fresh stuff? That was vitamin C, ascorbic acid. Vitamin C is an antioxidant. Stops oxidation. Antioxidant. And you put it on those apples, 2 hours later, you'd serve them on the table and they'd look like they were just fresh cut. You remember now? Gentlemen, back to you. Remember that rusty metal? So if you sand that off and you clean it off real good and you spray it with some zinc spray, some zinc-coated paint, doesn't that stop the rust? Why? Because zinc is an antioxidant. antioxidant. It stops oxidation. So if vitamin C, zinc, if it can stop oxidation on apples and metal, what do you suppose it does to the cells in your body? It keeps them healthy. It keeps them whole. Watch this. It keeps them from damaging so you don't rust out and have disease. Is that pretty simple? That's pretty good stuff, right? So when you look at different antioxidants in the body, I just want to name a few, and I want to show you, because it's very powerful, what they can do. You have vitamin antioxidants. How many people have ever heard of vitamin A? Vitamin C, we just talked about. Vitamin E. All of these are antioxidants. How about mineral antioxidants? We just talked about zinc. What about magnesium? We have selenium, manganese, molybdenum. All of these are great antioxidants. Now, there's a term out there called OPC, oligomeric proanthocyanidins. Just a big old word is all it is. And those OPCs, they block tissue damage and they reduce inflammation. There's things like elagitanin, spirulina, tannins. All of these plant compounds, now watch, they have they're touted with some pretty good things. The elagitannins actually they've shown resist growth of Helicobacter pylori in the stomach. How many people know what ulcers are? The bacteria that causes them. These compounds block and resist them from growing. You think that could be important for people who have ulcers? Some of these are even up to 200 times stronger than vitamin C as an antioxidant. When cells break down over a period of time, remember, then they're vulnerable and the DNA changes and it starts replicating unhealthy cells. And if they replicate what's called an oncogene, they produce things like cancer. The number 2 killer in America today. So how do we get rid of and prevent and try to keep this cell damage from occurring so we don't turn into things like cancer? We use antioxidants. Now, it's not just as simple as taking antioxidants. Of course, fresh fruits, vegetables, we know we're going to do all that because it's full of antioxidants. But how many people know we live in a pretty dirty world? Pretty rough environment. So we're going to have to take some antioxidants, but then we're going to have to restore the antioxidant systems. Now, this takes a little bit. We walk you through in the book. I take you step by step, and I teach you how to rebuild the antioxidant systems, because the glutathione system in your body is the strongest antioxidant system that you have, and it's what's maintaining and keeping you every day from rusting out. So we need to keep it efficient. Whatever we do, we have to keep it efficient. Every time you eat, every time you drink, and every time you exercise, you make oxidation. So those systems have to be there to put that fire out, or you're going to have cell destruction, which leads to pain and finally leads to disease. So it's very simple. If you stop the oxidation, you stop the pain.
Think of your stomach, your gut, as a rainforest filled with billions and trillions of trees, bugs, microorganisms. Just like the rainforest, your gut is a fragile ecosystem. Each one of these organisms affects the ecosystem of your body. In fact, 80% of your plasma cells, which are immune cells, are in your gut's rainforest. Now, this rainforest ecosystem is built of cells called the microbiome. It's basically just a collection of all of your body's bugs like bacteria, fungi, and viruses. Balancing the microbiome helps your body to function at its most optimal level, which allows you to properly digest your food and even maintain a healthy weight. When your gut microbiome is out of balance, you're set up for a host of issues, including weight gain, inflammation, loss of energy, and of course, all kinds of pain. So how do we make sure we keep this wonderful ecosystem in check? It's all about balance. But once we cause an imbalance from doing things like taking antibiotics, ingesting chemicals on our food, etc., our bodies start to wreak havoc. And if you're having these issues, the right solution is to address it with a reset of your system. Restoring the bug balance, along with removing the things that cause the imbalance in the first place, can put you right back on the path to a healthy, balanced gut and a rapid recovery. Maintaining the perfect ecosystem within your gut is all about promoting proper digestion and having the right balance of friendly and unfriendly bugs. When you do, you can expect to reduce oxidation, reduce inflammation, decrease anxiety, feel better all over, and even improve your function and mood. Keep watching, and I'll show you how to achieve a healthy balance of the gut and the microbiome so you can boost your metabolism, eliminate cravings, and most importantly, help you put an end to chronic, debilitating pain. Let me show you how to fix the gut to stop the pain. So there's something in the body called microbiome. What is that? Watch this. It's the balance of bugs in your gut. Let's just make it easy. Yeah, you have bugs in your gut, roughly between 300 to 1,000 strains at any given time of different bugs. Now, just like in the jungle, everybody's got to get along. You have to have the right balance. If you don't have the right balance, you have problems. If you get problems and imbalance, then it starts causing symptoms out into the body. Now, one of the things you have to know about bug balance is the good bugs in your gut are there to serve a purpose. And they're really, watch this, your first line of defense. So if there's foreign invaders come in, those good bugs can offset those and destroy those incoming invaders, okay? This balance is kind of like, how many people remember the old Hatfields and McCoys? They're always feuding each side. And anybody ever gave up any ground, they'd want to take the ground. They're always after the ground. Everybody's trying to get ahead. So there's this battle of the Hatfields and McCoys that's going on in your gut all the time, and it's between good bacteria and yeast-like bacteria. And so you get these candidas, you get these other yeasts that are in there. Now, the hard part is when anything's out of balance, it's harmful. So when you start seeing yeast get out of balance, that can cause a lot of problems. Let me give an example. Has anyone here ever taken an antibiotic? Drink chlorinated water, which means you don't drink filtered, you drink it off the tap. If you played sports, by the way, that wasn't filtered water, guys and gals. That was coming right off the faucet on those sidelines, but you were drinking. So why do they put chlorine in water? To kill bugs. So if you put it in your gut, you're killing the bugs. If you take antibiotics, it doesn't just kill the bad ones, it kills all of them. Watch this. We used to think, well, you just take a bottle of probiotics and you'll be repopulated. The newest study came out that when you take antibiotics, you have to take probiotics for 1 year. 1 year every day to be able to fully restore that bacterial balance to the good ones. Isn't that enlightening? So you think maybe we may have some imbalances. If you have imbalances, the good bacteria can't keep the yeast in check. If the yeast aren't in check, boy, they start running rampant. And yeast make you do things like crave. They make you sleepy. They make you itch. They make you irritable. They inflame your bowel. They get in that bowel and they just blow it up like a sunburn. And they make it very irritated. So have you ever noticed maybe you're looking in the mirror sometime and you see like this little jiggly fat. Not the firm fat, but kind of, it looks like it's almost jiggly. Well, thanks to yeast, those are the little yeast factories. That's what causes. Now the problem is, once these things build up, they cause other problems. If yeast gets into the bloodstream and becomes systemic, it can cause a lot of people a lot of problems. A lot of the fibromyalgic people, they're told they have to live with it. Their muscles are always aching and burning. Their neck's always hurting, having headaches. Their legs, their back, it's just they ache all over. And sometimes the pain will move around and they can't really get a fix for it. Well, one of the big causes in that can be an imbalance of yeast. So watch this. If you correct that balance by taking good probiotics, we used to have 4 million in a capsule and we thought that was a lot. Now one of our capsules has like 30 billion. So see, you can really populate very quickly, much quicker than we used to be able to do. So when you do that then, like the Hatfields and McCoys, you get that ground back, you start gaining the ground, and you start putting the yeast back in check. Now, guys, I'm going to tell you, you don't put yeast back in check in just a day. You don't put it back in just a week. It takes about 3 to 6 months. With that, I show you the whole way how to do it. You got to come off some of the certain foods that they like just for a short period of time so you can restore your gut. If you don't restore your gut, you're going to stay inflamed. If you stay inflamed, you're going to keep getting immune reactions. If you get immune reactions, your joints are going to still hurt. You're going to have neck stiffness, pain. watch this, you're just not gonna feel good. Have you ever had days you just say, I don't feel good today? You don't really have the flu, you just don't feel good. There's a reason for that. You should feel good. You shouldn't walk around and just getting through your day surviving. So if you balance the gut health, you begin to correct things into balance. Now then you have to also watch, because if you get too many bacteria in the gut, then you get something called SIBO. You get overgrowth of bacteria. So then if you take probiotics, it can actually make them worse. So if you've ever been one of those people and you've tried probiotics, and once you take probiotics, you realize, hey, they made me worse, then there's a simple, you can go down to one of your doctors that practice like me, and they can run a simple test, a little simple test, and they can see if that overgrowth is present. And if it isn't, they can put the right kind, which is called a Saccharomyces boulardii. They'll put that yeast back in there, a good kind of yeast, and watch this, it balances the bacteria. So see, it's not about good and bad, it's about balance. It's always going to be about balance. So I've seen people literally get out of wheelchairs, literally. I've seen them get out of wheelchairs from getting something as simple as getting the bad bugs out of their gut and getting the good ones back and getting them balanced. So it's simple. Balance the gut, stop the pain.
Good health starts with good digestion, including the right amount of stomach acid and digestive enzymes. When these are deficient, bad things happen in the gut. The liver, gallbladder, pancreas, and bowel all work together to assist the body in promoting healthy digestion. When these pathways are cleansed properly, the digestive juices can begin to flow normally, and the bad bugs can't survive. The foods we eat play a huge role in whether the pathways work properly or, like a sink, get clogged up. I had somebody once tell me, I'm dead tired. Sounds like one of those zombies walking around in a daze. Why do people feel this way? When you take a natural food, you process it, its living components like enzymes and nutrients, they all get destroyed. The food is basically recycled powder that has a lot of calories but little nutritional value. Processed food like frozen meals, snacks, and of course, fast foods like cheeseburgers, and these are all dead foods. They have virtually no nutrients because all the vitamins, minerals, and fiber are zapped out of them in the processing. These foods may be super tasty and leave you feeling full, but they're dead. And they may be the reason you feel like one of those zombies. The body needs nutrients and enzymes in the food to be able to function normally. Dead foods lead to poor digestion, which causes the digestive pathways to get clogged up, which that further impairs the digestive process. A steady diet of dead foods that cause this problem can lead to things like chronic inflammation, acid reflux, elevated blood sugar levels, and even arthritis. The human body responds to these zombie foods with aches, pains, and even hormonal imbalance. Sounds like The Walking Dead to me. Just like dirty filters, these pathways need to be properly cleansed or they block the normal digestive process. Keep watching, and I'll show you how to use the correct natural compounds along with some digestive enzymes to fix the digestion and stop the pain.
So wow, how do you talk about digestion? I mean, what a huge topic. When you talk about digestion, you're talking about so many things. We think about it just eating and then hoping that it gets through, you know, that the meal goes through and that you don't have any symptoms or side effects. But really, there's a lot going on in your digestive system every time you chew, every time you swallow, every time that food travels down. The minute you put that food in your mouth, the body releases something called salivary amylase, and it starts breaking down that food. Takes that bolus all the way down into the stomach, and watch this, there's something called hydrochloric acid that's sitting there waiting to break down those big food particles. Hopefully you've chomped them enough with your teeth so when it gets down there, then there's plenty of surface area for that acid to work. And if there's enough acid, it's the right balance, and you didn't swallow the thing whole, then it'll be able to digest that and break it down into smaller particles. Then as it goes through and it starts going in, it gets into the part of the intestine where the pancreas dumps in to that area. The gallbladder dumps into that area to break down the fats, to break down, puts enzymes in there, pancreatic enzymes to break down so you can take the proteins, the fats, the carbohydrates, and you can turn them into what? Fuel. The whole idea, believe it or not, eating isn't supposed to be for pleasure. I'm so glad it makes you happy, but it was never intended to make you happy. That's not what it's for. It's for survival. So really, you should be looking at food as what it accomplishes in the body and not how it makes you feel. If you get emotional with food, trust me, eventually it's going to lead you astray. It's going to lead you down a bad path. Now, I'm not saying you can't have some emotional moments with food, okay? Yeah, I've seen some of you eat ice cream. You know, come on, you ever seen somebody eat ice cream? They're, Oh, that's so good. I mean, people get emotional. They get just dramatic with their food. Yeah, I was over in a restaurant the other day, and I saw the guy. He was finishing up a sundae, and he had his spoon in the end, and he was digging, and he had his tongue there going, trying to get that last little drop down there. So we can get emotional with food, but wouldn't it make more sense if we just ate to be healthy? And once we're healthy, then, hey, if you want to have a little ice cream here and there, it's great, but let's not make the ice cream the focus, you see? So in digestion, there's a few things that have to happen. I cannot tell you how many people I know that are suffering with GERD right now. Acid indigestion, when they go to bed at night and they're kind of burping up the acids into their throat, it gets up in their throat, and they're having to sleep on wedge pillows. Now, if you're sleeping on a wedge pillow all night, do you think that's good for your posture? Do you think it's good for your neck and back to be strained like that all night? No. So instead of trying to do some of these cover-up treatments, why don't we get to the cause? Now, I'm going to shock some of you, but believe it or not, the reason why a lot, especially over 50, but the reason why a lot of people have acid indigestion is, watch this, it's not because they have too much acid, they don't have enough. Yeah, I give my patients something called betaine hydrochloride, and when we give them the acid, the body has enough acid so it doesn't make any more. And then everyone has peace. We do that for just a few weeks and wean them right back off it, and then they're okay again. But one of the first things you have to do, and I'll give you this little tidbit, is you got to take carbohydrates out of the diet, the refined ones. See, every time you're eating sugar or refined foods like that, if you don't get those refined foods out of the diet, then they'll cause too much input for insulin, and insulin will cause a reaction to cause the pancreas to get tired, and it doesn't make enough enzymes, then your body tries to put too much hydrochloric acid in to make up the difference. Do you see? So I have people just come off of their sugar and their complex carbs, and by the third day, usually the GERD's all gone. Doesn't cost anything to come off of something. This is a pretty cheap fix. Yeah. And in the book, I walk you all the way through the system on how to heal that system. And then you don't have to stay off of it forever. You just have to stay off of it for a reasonable amount of time until that comes down. For those of you who are having acid problems consistently, you may need a little acid to help you. So here's the way we do it. You have to discern what part of the system's not digesting. So here's a good way to look at it. If you're belching, gas is coming up, we know you need hydrochloric acid. If gas is coming out the other way, then you need pancreatic enzymes, digestive enzymes. See, half the food we eat, we've already cooked all the enzymes out of it, or it's dead food and it's not good food, and so there's really no enzyme content in it. And so we're not digesting our food properly, therefore we're not getting the nutrients we need. So people that are having digestive issues, man, we start giving them some digestive enzymes, it's amazing they start digesting their food. Their skin looks better, they look healthier, they start having more energy just from getting some good digestion occurring. So gas out, from up top, we do betaine hydrochloride. Gas down, we do pancreatic enzymes. And then real quick, I just want to run this by you because the liver gallbladder system is so important because that's how you digest fats. Liver makes bile, concentrates it in the gallbladder, and then it's released so it can break down your fats. If you're not breaking down fats, you're storing them. So I don't think we want to be storing fats. So in the book, I teach you how to do a gallbladder cleanse. You can actually cleanse that system. I remember one patient, actually she's a registered nurse, she went in and she'd been having gallbladder problems. She did the cleanse. She looked in the commode the next morning and she had 44 gallstones she counted that were passed through there. Now, do you suppose she felt better after all that was cleansed out? That particular patient, all of the symptoms she had had gastrointestinal went away. She had pain through her joints, pain through her shoulders. All of it disappeared. Why? Because now she could metabolize her fats that could lubricate the joints, and all the pain, it went away. So it's real simple. If you improve your digestion, you can stop the pain.